Hi, this is Al Woods of Woods Recruiting. Student athletes are slipping through the cracks, and the cracks are the recruiting process. It's happening all the time. Nothing has changed. This has been something that has been going on for as long as there's been a recruiting process. And we're talking about good athletes with good grades, good backgrounds, all the positive intangibles a college program would want in a student athlete, but yet and still, that player has gone invisible. Why does this keep happening? There's a lot of factors involved. The number one factor, and it's not, I don't know, there's a lot of high school coaches. We're going after high school coaches, but a lot of high school coaches don't give a damn. There's a lot of high school coaches who rather coach and turn a blind eye to recruiting. Now, it's not all high school coaches, because there's some great high school coaches out there who've done amazing job, a phenomenal job with getting their players to the next level, for even developing their players to be good enough to play at the next level. Sometimes high school coaches get put in a bad light by parents. So I want to say that, but it starts somewhere. Recruiting services exists because someone along the way has dropped the ball and has refused to get involved in the recruiting process to help these kids. It's been going on for a very long time, and it will continue to go on. As long as we have players who are playing and who are good enough to play at the next level, there will be those who become invisible to college coaches. For those who don't know, full disclosure, I ran my own recruiting service for 29 years. Did a pretty good job of it as well. And I would constantly have these conversations with high school coaches. Many of them would say things like, if he's good enough, they will find him. And I thought about that statement, and I thought it was one of the most ridiculous statements I ever heard. How are you going to find a needle in a haystack? How are you going to find that player who's there, but they're not getting his name out? The old broken down strategies of recruiting no longer work. It used to be where the coach would make some phone calls, send some letters out. The player would appear in the paper because they had a good game. And that's how players were found. But those strategies don't work anymore. Someone has to put the name of the student athlete into the hands of college coaches. So recruiting services are popping up all over the place. It's not necessarily a good thing, because some recruiting services are just awful. Some recruiting services are terrible. Some of them don't even know what they're doing. They're talking a good game, tricking parents into paying thousands of dollars and delivering next to nothing in services. So that's a problem. So then you have these exposure events that charge all of this money. Very few college coaches are in attendance. And what do you really get? Very little exposure. And most of the players are just not any good. So there's a whole lot of problems with recruiting. There's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of parents who have ridiculous expectations of their sons and daughters. Everyone thinks they could play Division I, but that's no joke. That's a hard mountain to climb. They think it's easy, but you really got to be putting in some serious work to get to that level. But you're going to continue to have players who will slip through the cracks of the recruiting process, and that's just the way it is. I think it's unfortunate because you have a large number of talented student athletes each and every year who end up not going to college, and I think something's wrong with that. They've got the talent, they've got the skill, they've got the grades, they've got everything they need, but there's no one there helping them to get their name out. And the last thing you want to see is some talented athlete stocking shelves at some grocery store. That would be wrong, wouldn't you agree? The recruiting process is not easy. There's a lot of mistakes. It's challenging, it's very hard. What do you think about it? How many players have you heard about through the years of your just existence, your experience, have you known that have slipped through the cracks? Maybe they ended up in college, but it was beneath their athletic ability. Maybe they didn't go to college at all. They had the offers, they didn't accept them. I mean, who knows what happens? The players do slip through the cracks. It's going to be an ongoing tug of war, an ongoing battle. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of high school coaches get forced out, because they don't get their players recruited, or the players don't get the playing time, where the parents feel they have to get those numbers to get recruited. So a lot of things are factored into this process. So I'd like to know what you think of this topic. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Your comments are the oxygen we need to grow. Thanks for listening.